pleasant good evening to all my fans all over the globe. Those listening and viewing for the first time, welcome to this channel, and I am sure you will enjoy your presence if you are here for the first time listening and viewing this channel. I would also like to take the opportunity, although the day is almost through, in wishing the Muslim community a happy Eid holiday, and I trust that the month of Ramadan has prepared all of you to be more focused and determined in living and fulfilling the mission of your religion. So happy Eid to all Muslims throughout the globe. As usual, when we begin our presentations, we will do a motivational word, and then we will get into doing the presentation. So the theme of the presentation for today is, what is your status in life? But as I said, I will start off with a motivational word, and then I will get into doing the presentation. So the motivational word for today, and it's a quote taken from the book of Worldly Wisdom by Gracian, and the quotation states that education without character is a double-headed monster. So I repeat, education without character is a double-headed monster. I want that quotation to resonate and to register with you and for you to think about it. I am a lecturer and belong to the education sector, and that is a tremendous responsibility placed on my shoulder and the shoulders of colleagues, people who are presidents of universities, principals of schools. A tremendous responsibility is also a tremendous honor, but a defining feature must be character. In that, treating those under your care with equity, with justice, with fairness, and with a sense of humanity is very important. And not compromising the tenets of the profession, not compromising the tenets of living in terms of how people should be treated. So, given that brief explanation, I will repeat the quotation. Education without character is a double-headed monster. In other words, if you have attained your PhD or your Master's or your BSc, that does not give you the right or the license to believe for a second that you are better than anyone. Let character be the defining factor. So ponder on the word, meditate on the word, and let that word guide you in whatever you do in this life. And I will take the opportunity to tell you about our services. We offer individual and group coaching and counseling services. We offer workshops in the areas of leadership, psychology, entrepreneurship, community development, communication, and a host of other areas. We also have some ongoing courses, a 4-week public speaking course entitled The Fundamentals of Psychology, $1,200 for students and $1,800 for the general public. So that course will prepare you in terms of being an effective public speaker, communicating with your audience, intonation of voice, and a host of other features of the course. We'll take you over a 4-week session, and you can contact us to do that course. We also have an ongoing 10-week course entitled The Fundamentals of Psychology, where we look at concepts, we look at theories, we look at factors that contribute and shape behavior and thinking, among a host of other areas. So that course costs $3,800, and it's over 10 weeks. You can pay in one shot, 2 parts, 3 parts, and we are even willing to give you a 4-part arrangement, because we are committed in wanting you to do this course. There is also another 4-week course entitled Mastering Emotional intelligence and becoming emotionally strong and resilient. And that course goes at $1,800 for students, $2,500 for the general public. For groups of 5, we charge you $1,500 per head, or $7,500 for a group of 5. So in that way, you will save $1,000, because the normal price for an individual from the public is $2,500. So whether it's one of our ongoing courses, whether it's one of our workshops, or an individual and group counseling session, we are available to serve you to the best of our experience and professional ability. Give us a call at 1-868-778-5141, 1-868-779-2544, or email us at leadershipwithadifference@gmail.com. So once you call, once you email, we are ready to provide our services to you, and we await your call and we await your email. So having shared the motivational word with you, having informed you of the services that we offer, I will now begin my presentation. So I, Imo Bakari, your psychologist and life coach, I am here because I want you to go higher. I am here because I want you to go higher, so that you can unleash your fire. That's my desire. Welcome, welcome, welcome once again to your favorite YouTube channel as I begin this evening's presentation. As I said before I did the motivational word, the topic for today is, what is your status in life? And so many people are caught up in the quest for status. And I have always been intrigued in trying to understand what really is this fuss about status. Now, as human beings, when we are born, and when we think of human development, we know that life will proceed from infancy into adolescence, adulthood, late adulthood, and we will eventually decline and die. So, if we think of status in terms of continuous and progressive development, I think status in that context is a very good way in which to look at status. But if we look at what the Oxford Dictionary said in defining status, it defines status as the relative position or standing of a person. And that could be in the context of organization in society. So, some persons, given the profession they may be involved in, people attach a certain level of status to them. They may be a doctor, and more so they may be a senior doctor, they may be a specialist, a gynecologist, an ophthalmologist, urologist, right? You name it. And these people, given their area of specialization, are looked at as carrying a certain level of status. So good, so far. But the point is, when we think of status in another context, all right, if you are building a house, and based on how the house is progressing, you as the person who is constructing the house, you may want a status report to know the state of progress, whether things are going well, or things are being stalled, or whatever is the situation. If you are ill, and hopefully the expectation is that you will recover. But as you go through the process of recovery, the doctors will give you status updates, your family, etc., will want to get a status report in terms of how you are progressing. But status can also be looked at in the context of how the many stratas of society, how society has been divided. And if we take our Caribbean context, we have had a past of colonialism, we have neo-colonialism as we speak, we have had a past of enslavement and indentureship. And if we take the experience of slavery and the plantation model that has been written about by Professors Lloyd Best and Carrie Levitt in terms of how since on the plantation to now, those divisions have been maintained. So those of the planter class, the enslavers, they were given, what you call prime status. You had those who have mixed origin, from mixed birth, arising sometimes not through consent, but then through the female slaves being viewed as property, and the planter class, the so-called supreme class, exploiting their bodies and producing mixed breed children who were given a higher status than those who were of pure African stock and those who were in the field. And then you had those slaves who were favored not in a way to uplift their humanity, who were referred to as the house slaves, who were given a higher ranking to those on the plantation. So that plantation model, as argued by Professors Best and Livett, has been maintained from the days of slavery and indentureship to now, where within contemporary societies in the Caribbean and in many other parts of the world, you have these artificial divisions really, but they have become very much entrenched. So in truth and in fact, they are very real in terms of what people encounter as they go about their daily living. We have the question of colorism, where people, based on sometimes the complexion of their skin, they are discriminated against, and not only by persons sometimes of other races, but even people within a particular racial group. Sometimes you have families talking about nice-haired children and children of a fairer complexion, all ascribing to a status in a very negative way. And those divisions have not served in creating what you call a society where harmonious relations have been fostered. So people who belong to a particular political organization that are in power, they assume a higher status in terms of being favored than those who may not belong to such an organization. And the truth is, if you are given the authority to govern, everyone should be treated in an equitable way. But we know the reality is not that. We know the reality is that, you may be the most qualified for a position, but because of nepotism and favoritism by those in authority, you may be denied the opportunity. You do not belong to what they consider the boys' club or the girls' club or the inner circles. You live in a particular community and you are not given a fair chance. So when we think of Trinidad and Tobago, people from the Beatum, people from Laventille, people from Mova, people from Heliard and Carenage, people from on the line in Marabella, and a host of other communities, citizens, just by the mere fact of living in these communities, they are not treated properly. And we can extend it across the world. People in the Bronx, certainly may not be treated like people in Manhattan. All right? So whichever part of the world you could think of, those divisions exist. And if status is based on those kinds of divisions, but then, status could indeed be something very dangerous. However, as I said earlier, when you are born, it is your God-given responsibility to improve your lot in life, all right? To become educated, to be able to take care of your family, and most importantly, the area that I will give persons a high status for is to engage yourself in solving one of the many ills in society, right? Whilst we have enough food to feed twice the population of the world, we have half of the population of the world. And I got this statistic from Professor Dr. Vijay Prasad in a presentation that I heard him did last night in an organization to which I belong, the Seven Continent Center for Research and Policy. And when we look at that reality, if we are to elevate our status, whatever we can do, and whatever the powerful nation should do, is that they should make contributions to eradicate that situation because it is solvable. And if it is solvable, if you could solve that problem where more people can be fed and fed properly, then you can be looked at as having a high status. We have illiteracy is a big problem. We have poverty is a big problem. So I'm saying to you that if you can engage yourself in solving these problems in whatever way, that is certainly an indication of having an elevated status. But when you think of status in the context of looking down on another person, well then that is a serious, serious problem. Because if you are the manager of an organization, if you are the supervisor of an organization, if you are the president of an organization, that does not give you the authority to feel that you are better than your subordinates. Because you are in a position where you can empower your subordinates. But the reality that many subordinates face and are subjected to is that their superiors treat them like mess. Yes, like mess. And even though they treat them like mess, they move about puffing their chests, basking in their authority with a lot of zest and treating their subordinates as mess. Can you imagine that? If you really have to have the kind of status invested in your authority, you've got to ensure that meritocracy, equity, and fairness are the guide in how you treat your workers. Because you can only look good and only maintain your status when the workers are rallying behind you. But if you are treating them like mess, do you expect to get their support? So, when you are in charge of any organization, respect those under you, understand them as best as you can, forge a team spirit, and in that way you will really enjoy a status far superior to being the president or the manager of your organization. Think about it, and please implement it and treat people as they should be treated. Many of us have different talents, and many of us play different roles in this life. All right? So, if you think of a football team, 11 players on either side, some players are rated as outstanding players, but think about it carefully. A forward can only be an outstanding forward because of the role of the defenders and the midfield. If the midfield cannot service them properly, the forwards may fall flat in terms of their performance. So when we talk about outstanding players, yes, you can recognize their talent and their skill, but remember, the status of every other player is equally important because it's a team game. All right, it's a team game. So, if you are a member of a football team, I am saying we need a balance when we ascribe accolades, remembering that the role of every other member of the team is what will make the team as a whole and the forwards effective. All right. So, no matter your standing in life, no matter your standing in a team, no matter your standing in an organization, all right, we may view the CEO as having the highest status in the organization. But the cleaners in the organization, if they do not clean, what a mess you will have to work in. So the status of the cleaners is indeed very high, because if they fail to perform their roles, whether it's in a company, whether it's in communities, we will be in a lot of problems. So let us view the garbage collectors and cleaners with a different level. Let us elevate their status. Let us not only ascribe status to those who may be the contractors or those who are running the organization, but recognizing that that status is just as important for the garbage cleaner and the CEO of the organization. We have, many of us would like to elevate our status in life. And I said, moving from one position to another to make our lives better is indeed a good pathway in thinking about status. But if you want to enjoy life at a certain level, you've got to make the effort. How then will you be able to pivot and move forward if you are not making the effort? As you have heard this saying, no pain, no gain. If you want a lovely life, well then you've got to make the effort so that you could move forward and elevate your standing in life. And most importantly, if you have elevated your standing, those who are weaker and those who are under you, help to lift them up. And in that way, you will remain on your status for a very long time. Because once people have gratitude, once they can recognize that you went out of your way, that you didn't only bask in your elevation, but you brought others up with you, they will certainly be very, very thankful and give you an elevated status far superior to the position that you hold in your organization. So, I am saying to you that this question of status is a very, very, very important area that we must look at. And we must not denigrate ourselves no matter what role we carry out in life, right? Because diversity is the spice of life. So there is a role for footballers, there's a role for netballers, basketballers, barbers, financiers, engineers, doctors, IT technicians, dramatists. There is a role for all of them. Because after the professionals work hard, a nice evening of entertainment where the dramatists, the panists, the calypsonians, the ballet dancers, the classical dancers, you name them, these people are indeed of high status because they help to entertain, they help to relieve stress, they help to make you laugh. And you know, as the literature has said over and over, the more you laugh, it helps your health, physically and mentally. So let us elevate the status of our performers and recognize that they too are important professionals who play a very important role in this life. So never ever downgrade the role that you carry out in life. I know a young man from my community who migrated to New York, and through barbering and through doing it in a professional way, befitted of the status that he ascribed to the effort and the seriousness with which he took his profession, he is now the owner of several properties and has well-established barbering businesses across New York State. So we have a responsibility being products of creation. And once we are products of creation, we are indeed, once we are human, we are indeed of a very high status. We cannot allow the man-made divisions, the many social constructs, for example, race. People are viewed that differently based on their physical characteristics. Could you imagine that? And if you have certain characteristics, for example, African characteristics, sometimes on the basis of just those characteristics, you didn't commit any crime, but because of how you look, sometimes you are viewed that in a negative way. Who gave who that responsibility to judge people and treat them on the basis of how they look? This is not from the divine. This is not man creating and dividing and elevating one above the other. I am saying they have no such responsibility, but the reality is it exists and we need to understand it. But we must have the confidence in ourselves on the basis of our heritage, on the basis of self-confidence, given our heritage and the contribution of our ancestors, to know that we are not less than, we are not putting ourselves better than, but certainly we are equal to anyone else because we stand on a strong tradition. We stand as a product of creation, and man-made divisions, we need to do all that we can do to fight back against those divisions. Because these false elevated statuses that they give on the basis of those divisions, certainly that is causing a lot of havoc in the world today. So, my listeners, my viewers, this message is a very important message that I want you to ponder deeply upon. And I'm saying, as children of the divine, we need to communicate with the divine as a means of going forward to dealing with these divisions. We need to recognize that all of us in this life, we are deserving of benefiting from the resources of this world. But man, because of greed, man in his quest for expanding territorial control, for wealth, they are fighting for a status to go where? I don't know where they are fighting to go with that status. Because as we all know, in the midst of life there is death. And yet, the avarice and the rat race that many are engaging for material possessions, and many people say they have made it in life when they think of the material possessions that they possess. How could you make it in life solely on the basis of material possessions? When in the twinkling of an eye, it can be all over, but yet you are basking in how big your account is, and that you have an elevated status. Is it the size of your account or the size of your character that will give you the elevated status? And that is why I said in the beginning, take up a cause and solve a problem, and then your status will go way beyond any ascribed to you by doing such, because you are helping to make the collective better. So if you want to claim that you have made it in life, you've got to be engaged in the process of helping others, alleviating poverty, alleviating hunger, alleviating illiteracy. You must get involved in these activities, and then you can say, yes, I can feel confident in the status I have achieved, in that I have helped a fellow man move from point A to point B. So the size of your account should never be the guide in that you have made it in life. The size of your house and the many mansions that you own, the many cars and planes that you own, these things will remain on planet Earth while you rot away, returning to planet Earth. So reconsider, reevaluate, come up with a different philosophy of life, and recognize that true status does not lie in the kind of definitions that they have presented to us. There is nothing wrong in acquiring things to live a comfortable life, but strike a balance. And that's why I said, as we move forward, communicate with the divine. In other words, pray. Plan in terms of the kind of life that you would like to live. Prepare. And if you prepare, of course your planning will be part of the preparation to deal with how you can advance yourself, to deal with how you can help in solving problems of the world. Persevere, because to move forward, to move from point A to point B, there will always be ups and downs in life, so we've got to persevere. We've got to prioritize, because at the end of the day, we cannot take up every single cause, we cannot do every single thing, but we can do something to make yourself and the world a better place. So prioritize. And once you have your mission and your vision clear, once you have your plan in order, once you have prayed, once you have prioritized, you need to act. And you need to act with purpose. You need to act with integrity. And you need to act with consistency, equity, fairness. And all of these things will make you someone of truly high status. So as I end this presentation, I remind you, let us define and redefine status. Let us treat our fellow men differently. Let us make more meaningful contributions and put materialism in its rightful place and live a more worthful life. So, no matter where you are born, no matter how you look, as a child of the divine, you are entitled to an equal status, although this world is constantly trying to make it one of divide and rule. So, I rest my case before you. I know the message has resonated with you, and I know you will support our channel. I know you know the rules to help our channel grow and become the #1 YouTube channel. So you will subscribe to our channel, you will like our videos, you will leave a comment, you will support us financially as we engage in our research projects, as we continue to roll out videos by utilizing the YP link on the description page. We remind you that we are available to provide one-on-one and group coaching and counseling sessions. Remind you of our courses: the 4-week public speaking course, $1,200 for students, $1,800 for the public; the 10-week fundamentals of psychology, $3,800, and you can pay in parts. The mastering becoming an emotional master and resilient, that course is $1,800 for students and $2,500 for students, and the host of other workshops in leadership, in community development, corporate development, conflict resolution, you name it. We are available and we are committed to serve you. So give us a call at 1-868-778-5141, 1-868-779-2544, or email us at leadershipwithadifference@gmail.com. We also remind you that you can purchase our book, Conversation, that deals with social issues, psychological issues, inspirational issues, all done in poetry form for easy reading, and that book is just $100. So as I said, give us a call, give us an email, send us an email, and we are ready to serve you. We are committed to ensuring that we can lift the status of all those who are being made to feel that they are less than. As I said in an earlier presentation, you are good enough, and do not allow anyone to denigrate your status as a human being. So I thank you for listening. I thank you for viewing. Stay tuned in next week for another powerful presentation. And in the meantime, between time, stay tuned, and we will be back on time to shine. Thank you, and bye.